That game had everything. To me, it was so wonderful. And the fact that it ended because Will Howard sat on his ass with zero time on the clock. What are you doing,
I,
young man? What are you doing?
oh man, I've been waiting for a cover like that. Still haven't got one in the NFL, but I was begging LSU, please.
They're getting lubed up for November Tuesday nights. Central Michigan is in prime condition to come screw us all out of some money on some steam.
The Big Bets on Campus podcast.
All right, here we go.
What's up, Degenerate Nation? Welcome to the Big Bets on Campus podcast. This is the Week 7 college football betting recap. I'm Stucky, and joining me, as always, my fellow BBOC co-host, Colin Wilson. Hey, just like last week, sometimes like last week, we go into a week and say, maybe this isn't the best slate, and it surprises us. Sometimes we go into a slate and say, this is going to be a good slate, and it lives up to expectations, as yesterday did. What a day of college football from start to finish. Another 15 hours sweating for me from start to finish. It was awesome. Huge day for the podcast again, which was nice. Huge day for you. I had a big day. So, yeah, it was nice. How was your day?
I mean, everything is looking good, right? I mean, when you have a day like that, you just kind of, I don't get too high. I get uncomfortable when I have really, really good days. You just kind of say, you're as good as your last bet and you move on. But everything fell into place. I mean, everything yesterday between all the special team errors, all the field goals that were missed, all of the overtimes that happened, like the coin landed on the same side every single time. And you don't get that many weekends. So I'm interested to see how spicy these voicemails are, but it's nice to see the ball better than my Kansas City Royals. I can tell you that, but you're only as good as your last bet. So we got more work to do.
Yeah, as always, it's on to the next week. I had a rough couple of weeks, but that's why you just grind on, stay the course. Last couple of weeks have more than made up for it. But we'll see what next week brings. Got to hit the dungeon this week and try to find more winners. Before we get to the voicemails, we'll recap our best call, worst call, bet, regret. The whiteboard of transparency agrees. LSU winner. That LSU. Oh man, I've been waiting for a cover like that. Still haven't got one in the NFL, but I was begging LSU, please. I was like 0 of 16 in potential game covering touchdown drives. Just couldn't get one. Get down to the goal line inside the 20, turn it over. And that LSU one was joyous. I haven't had many joyous moments, like late game moments. That one was unbelievable. That fourth down throw from Nussmeier, the walk-off touchdown. Whit Weeks, what a game from the LSU linebacker. He had, I think, 20 tackles. He was all over the field. That Ole Miss team might be on quit watch. I don't know yet, but man, they might have sent Lane to Gainesville. That was beautiful. And those games, like you just mentioned, sometimes one or two of those games goes your way, and it can make an average day bad, can make a really good day great. That's just the variance of college football. You bet 15 to 20 games, 2 or 3 of those bounces, the fourth downs late. Sometimes those make or break your weekend, and you just hope they go your way more Saturdays than not. And they definitely make it much more enjoyable just from a sweat perspective, because that was awesome, especially in Death Valley. The crowd, it was crazy.
Yeah, Ole Miss with 2 losses in the SEC standings, and they flashed up the SEC standings, and you see Arkansas sitting in there like at 5th. I'm like, what in the hell is going on in college football these days? I mean, I'm going to have to take a couple hours out to figure out who's going to the playoff this year. I mean, it's just wild what some of the direction that these teams are going. Oregon, Ohio State for me was like, I must have spent 6 hours writing that up for action. And it was like, I think Jordan James is going to go over his total. Sure. I think Dylan Gabriel is going to use his legs. Sure. I think Dylan Gabriel is going to have a touchdown. Sure. I think Oregon can pull this out. Sure. I mean, That game had everything. To me, it was so wonderful. And the fact that it ended because Will Howard sat on his ass with 0 time on the clock. What are you doing, young man? What are you doing?
Look, I didn't go as deep as you did in that game. You did a great job breaking it down. I basically just said, look, from a power ratings perspective, I got to take the hook. And I thought that the coaching edge went to Oregon, and some of the things that happened in the last minute, just not understanding the clock. How do you not communicate to your quarterback what to do there? You can't slide after zeros. At that point, you might as well keep going. The 12 men landing, I think they ran a 12th guy on late. I think they did it on purpose. And that basically enabled that, ensured that Ohio State only had one play, and then they used it to
because
kneel.
you can't get the time back on the clock. There's some penalties you can, and this one you can't. And I think if you saw Lanning's face, I think he absolutely did it on purpose.
Yeah, and you can't have 13 or make it look on purpose, or it's like an unsportsmanlike. So there was the onside kick after the penalty, like that. There was just some coaching decisions in that game that I think swung it. But look, Ohio State fans, we'll hear from Martin later. I listened to some of the voicemails. He was very upset with me because I tweeted World 1, Ohio 0. But look, Ohio State, they lost by 1 at a top 5 team. It's okay. You got some things to clean up. You're going to be in the college football playoff. You're going to have a chance at revenge probably in the Big Ten championship. It's okay. It's the 12-team playoff era. You're one of the best teams in the country. I do still, you want to know, at a bad game, he's got to clean some things up. Denzel Burke.
Yeah.
Oh, he got toasted all night long. But the defensive line for Ohio State, remember I talked about this last week? Like, they're very talented, but they're inconsistent, right? They'll have games where they flash, and then games where it's like, where are the impact plays? And I think it's the Oregon offensive line's getting better, but it's still not, your vintage elite offensive line. And I didn't think that the Ohio State defensive line flashed. And so, yeah, the game plan from Knowles also wasn't great. Like, I think he was too aggressive. Like, I think that you want to make Oregon earn it in the red zone, like we talked about. You don't want to give up explosives to and they had explosives all day.
Yes.
So
Evan Stewart really separating himself from Tez and everybody else. Evan Stewart isn't, and we knew it when he was before he transferred in, that he's just an absolute animal. Took over the game. Yeah,
I imagine Knowles will probably play it different in a rematch, but we have a long way to go before we start talking about that. That was awesome. USC, what a meltdown. Up 2 touchdowns against Penn State. We have a caller who calls in about Penn State, so we'll talk about that later. But the agree, LSU.
Yeah.
We went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We went 5-1. The only loss, it's on me, UL Monroe. Excuse me, Southern Miss. UL Monroe's a wagon. What can I say?
Remember
so
when
10-1.
Remember it was 90-1 for the Sun Belt. Go ahead.
They're gonna be favorites soon. So we're 10-1 on the agreed. Trash went 3-1, and we'll add in yours. Your Rice Owls, great call.
Yeah. We're back on that.
Get it done.
We're back on that bullshit. I was expecting something from the Owl GIF. I didn't get anything from you, but back on.
I clapped. I replied. I clapped.
Yeah, that's right.
And then you got me on the head-to-head. 2-1 there. So the board still looks great. That was a great call on one of the most impressive victories of the day that didn't get a lot of attention was Iowa State, West Virginia. Look at all of these road ranked teams against, not even on the road, just these ranked teams playing unranked teams. They're all getting scares. There's upsets galore. Iowa State went into Morgantown at night and then just handled their business. I think that they have demonstrated they're clearly the class of the Big 12.
Yeah, I think and you have to go back through the box score, and I'll do a deep dive this week. Like, was Rocco Becht purposely being kept off film? There was a lot going on in that West Virginia secondary where I thought he could get comfortable. So I'm wondering like if Iowa State has been holding stuff back, but they built a very comfortable lead. They threw it into cruise control, and they had no problem with West Virginia's rushing attack.
Yeah, well, before we get to voice, so let's do best call, worst call, bet, regret. I'll start. I mean, my worst call was fortunately didn't have many on Saturday, but definitely the two that I just mentioned, Southern Miss and West Virginia. I will also say I ended up parlaying Iowa money line instead of laying it with Tennessee money line.
Mm-hmm.
Did not deserve to hit that. Did not deserve to hit Tennessee money line. Florida should have won that game. They should have been up like 24-0. Credit to the Tennessee defense, which had injuries early. Florida was on like the 1-yard line, and Mertz fumbled and lost the fumble. At the end of the half, they were kicking a field goal, and they had a substitution infraction, so the field goal got wiped off. And then Mertz gets hurt, so Lagway throws like this awful pick that led to the Tennessee touchdown. I mean, Nico looks lost.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Tennessee looks broken. I don't know man, we're going to have to spend some time on this game. What happens when the broken Alabama defense takes on the broken Tennessee offense?
Yeah.
I don't know. Best call, I will say, Buffalo. Buffalo!
Yeah. Yep.
Typical Toledo for absolute frauds.
And they steamed.
Jason Candle. Yeah, I didn't get it. I had a bad number there.
It didn't matter.
Yeah, they got up to 11, I think, at circa in some places. Didn't understand that move at all. I didn't even see if it was like a service release or something. I didn't care.
It didn't matter.
Yeah, Buffalo was up 21-0 at one point. So yeah, they're in first place in the MAC. The MAC continues to be completely wild. You want to talk about a wild game? Ball State, Kent State. And I don't know how that game ended up going over. Kent State steams all the way down to 3. They end up converting a 4th and 27 and score a touchdown to get down 28-26, or excuse me, 30-28. Ball State then scores a touchdown in the final minute. You know what? Kent State then scored a touchdown again, loses by 2. Unbelievable. Northern Illinois with a big win at Bowling Green. I'm glad I took a piece of Northern Illinois futures before this weekend. Central Michigan, more their games are so shady. Plus 2.5. I don't know. They're down 27-0 or something, and they lose by 2. Every one of their games, every week.
They're getting lubed up for November Tuesday nights. Central Michigan is in prime condition to come screw us all out of some money on some steam.
Oh yeah. And then my bet regret was not buying the low on Miami of Ohio. They didn't look great all year, but I just didn't spend enough time on that game. But how about you? Best call, worst call, bet regret?
Well, worst calls. Let's just go ahead and get them out of the way. I thought Kentucky would be in a great spot against Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt should have had a hangover, but Diego Pavia does not have hangovers. Diego Pavia is some sort of machine that doesn't have emotional setbacks after beating Alabama. They owned Kentucky. They owned Kentucky in the trench. They owned Kentucky on the ground. I was shocked.
Diego. Yeah, Kentucky was also sloppy, and it was I don't even know, the umpteenth straight time that I did mention this last week on the podcast, that Stoops' team after a bye, they just don't come out sharp. I don't know why. It could just be noise, but they were sloppy that entire game. But credit to Vandy. Vandy, I think will be ranked Vandy now. We're going to have ranked Vandy, ranked Army.
4-2.
Vandy now has 3 wins as double-digit dogs. So that was I guess that's my bet regret, because I set up under the bet them as double-digit dogs all year, but I mean, I couldn't with the spot. I mean, they beat Kentucky now, Virginia Tech, both as, close to 2 touchdown underdogs, and then they beat Alabama as 3 touchdown underdogs. What's sad though. If you look at the schedule, I gotta fade them this week, and
Yeah.
they got Texas in 2 weeks. They play. I hate. They're the worst. They don't profile as a good favorite. They're
Nope.
home against Ball State. I think I gotta bet Ball State. We'll see. We'll talk about that later. But go ahead.
I mean, I have to throw out another worse call because if it doesn't, I haven't heard the voicemails yet, but the overdog was Illinois. In the app, by the time Stuckey and I recorded on Thursday, I already had Illinois first half in there. Um, there was some things trickling out of that Purdue program, and so the first half covered. Purdue was lifeless, and then Brown comes in and runs quarterback, and Purdue goes absolutely apeshit and comes back all the way, almost nearly wins that game. So I have to call it a worse call because what happened to Purdue in that second half? I don't know who that team was at all, and so got to hit the pause button on fading Purdue because that second half was not the same as the first half whatsoever.
27% post-game win expectancy, lowest of the day for a winner for Illinois. That was embarrassing. I mean, they were a 2-point conversion away from losing.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was bad. Illinois has to be they're one of the luckiest teams in the country. Who's the luckiest team in the country? I'll give you 3. BYU, Pitt, or Illinois. Who do you think has the regression monster coming for them the most?
Oh my God. It's a tie between BYU and Illinois. I'd probably go BYU.
BYU every game, it's just like they're outgained by 100 and they're up by 50.
Yeah.
They just get pick sixes, 4 turnovers. Their medicine is coming. I think I would agree. Pitt wins every game. Pitt wins every game by 2. I don't know how, but they just do.
Hey, as long as Cal covers, we're happy. From a best call perspective, we don't have to go too deep into it, but I held back on the live show yesterday on Saturday saying that Texas was absolutely going to blow Oklahoma out. I thought Texas had a pretty bad offensive performance and they still blew them out. So, I mean, not much to go into there. Oklahoma's offense is broken. We know that. It's not going to get any better until those wide receivers get back, and there's some chemistry there with Hawkins. And then for a bet regret, we've only lost one of these all year. Predicted that San Diego State and Wyoming would go over the total of 41 and a half, whatever it was at when we podcast. They got in the 50s. Didn't get it bet down, but sad that we've nailed every single San Diego State total except for one this year.
Yeah, and you also liked San Diego State, which got to the window. The
Colorado State, I think the strength of schedules, I mean, they were even fine after Torrey Horton went out.
Their whole team was going down. They lost Morrow for a while. They lost their other running back, and I was getting worried. I was like, you got to be kidding me. They were about to blow the game open. Horton gets hurt. Then they fumble, and it pops up in the air and gets returned 85 yards for a touchdown. And I was like, this.
You and I were
bad.
tweeting. There was so much going on in college football, and you and I were both tweeting like this. I was tweeting like, where in the world does this happen? Horton goes out, and then boom, immediately, like, what was that? That was a scoop and score. No, it was a strip sack.
Strip popped in the air. Yeah, returned 85 yards all at once. Yeah, there was so much going on. I was laser focused on Colorado State, San Jose State. San Jose State has a lot going on too. They keep switching quarterbacks. Remember I mentioned that the Brown. It wasn't like he was bad, and he would just throw to Nash every play, which kind of worked. So I'm not sure what's going on there. He like smashed his helmet when he got taken out. So yeah, I mean, San Jose State hadn't played anybody all year, and it was also nice to see Nevada get to the window. How about South Carolina? I'm glad you convinced me.
Yeah,
Fortune was in, so that was a go. He ended up having a big pick. I mean. Alabama.
There's a lot of problems here. I mean, Alabama's
great
got
script, and then
oof. Then you get punched in the face by the way, a top 10 secondary, which I still can't believe on paper is a top 10 secondary, but they are from South Carolina. Top 10
and a top 5 defensive line.
Yeah, and then top 10 in defensive havoc. I just refreshed the numbers, and I knew that was going to be a problem for the Alabama offense. They love to shoot themselves in the foot. They're still making mistakes. Same old Alabama on offense. And then finally, RPO quarterbacks that are ground-based have given Bama a little shake on defense, and Lenora Sellers was allowed to just throw the ball anywhere the hell he wanted, and it would get caught. So It's a bad look for Alabama right now. And Kalen DeBoer doesn't have any answers. He just keeps saying the same damn thing. Every interview, every press conference, he's saying the same damn thing. We're going to get
He
it
said
worked
every
out.
game's going to be like this.
Yeah.
He said, we know every game's going to be like this. It's like, brother, you're 22-point favorites for the second week in a row. The pitchforks would have been out if they lost that game, and they arguably should have. I mean, South Carolina doesn't have a bunch of those turnovers. Oof. The offensive lineman catching the ball at the end kind of cost them. It cost them too much time. So, yeah, that was an awesome game too. The one thing I'll give credit to Alabama for, and Alabama fans, your games are thrilling. I mean, Alabama games are must-see TV every week. They're going to be in a dogfight, and I'm sure Tennessee, Alabama is probably. I can't see either one of those teams blowing the other out.
At least if one's down by 21, it's not over. I'll say that, right?
Yep. Although maybe for Tennessee it is. With their offense, I
said on the
does not
podcast,
look comfortable.
I said on the podcast, Travis Williams came up with a 3-3-star package that Heupel had never seen. I can't wait to get into the film study to see if that's what happened yesterday with Tennessee. Because if the book is out, I think the book is out on Heupel's offense in general from years past. Because you have to have what you had 2 years ago with Hooker.
Yeah, unless they're playing Little Sisters of the Poor, and then there's too much talent.
Yeah, the book is out on Tennessee's offense.
By the way, South Carolina and Oklahoma this week. What's that total? 4? All right. Let's get to the voicemails.
I've got it at 32.5.
Bad beats, backdoors, and miracle covers. However you're feeling, we want to hear from you.
You have reached the voicemail box of
The Big Bets on Campus podcast.
The guy is drunk, but there he goes.
Leave a message after the bleep.
So I laid it with Utah tonight, and shortly before kickoff, I found out that Cam Rising was going to be the starting quarterback, so I felt really good about that number. And, first couple drives, I was like, he's rusty. It's been a while. He's got to shake off the rust. And here we are late in the fourth quarter, and how the is he still on the field? He is terrible. Cam Rising, it's time to hang it up. Create an Indeed account, because you are dog. He's got a spaghetti arm. He throws like a girl. And then Kyle Whittingham, what are we doing? Kick the field goal, make it a 1-point game. There's 11 minutes left. Kick the field goal. And you're out here going for it when your quarterback can't throw it 10 yards down the field. This is ridiculous.
Colin Stuckey. I'm sitting here watching Captain Geritol, better known as Cam Rising, and he can't throw a forward pass. What the hell is the coach doing not pulling his ass out of there? I mean, he's got wraps and devices all over his body. Good thing I doubled up and went a few extra units knowing that he was playing tonight. Good Lord. Get him the out of there.
Adam in LA, I'm only slightly not perturbed right now because my Dodgers did just beat the Padres. But what in the is Kyle Whittingham thinking, keeping Cam Rising in this game? Are you kidding me? This kid needs to be out of there after that first injury. No. Let's keep him in the game and watch him hobble around and barely put any pressure on his foot trying to make a throw. I'm not even upset at Cam Rising. This is wrong what Whittingham did. And he needs to be fired for doing this.
You want to say anything about Utah?
Yeah, Utah. We talked about this on a live show. Whittingham was a bad game for him all around. Decision making. They were inside the 39 times. Scored 19 points. Rising didn't have it. He hurt his. He obviously is affected by the hand and the glove. Couldn't, and then he got banged up lower body early, and he obviously couldn't drive on the ball. They were just ducks and low balls and phrasing. I tweeted out, you got to get him out of there. I think the whole world said that. And you got to save your season. I know Wilson wasn't great, but he at least can step into a throw. So I get he probably had loyalty to Rising and was maybe hoping that it would get better. But that was ugly. And that's probably my bet regret of the week is because I took some Utah, my two futures that I bet, I took them NIU and I took some Utah. And I was saying, okay, in anticipation of Rising, but I didn't really consider that it could have just been, he could just be cooked and he could just still be hurt. And so, yeah, it was not pretty for the Utes.
Well, I mean, you put your trust in Whittingham to make the right decision because he always does, and I would say they've been extra cautious with Rising over the last 2 years, and so you just kind of assume that if he's going to play, that means Whittingham is given the stamp of approval. Well,
Yeah.
that rubber stamp is no longer valid to me in future handicapping with Utah.
Stuck. Sitting here looking at my action app where I've tracked this round robin you have so meticulously put together. You know, it started out 1-0. So I was like, all right, definitely going to win one more. We'll make a little bit of money. Then we'll get 2 wins, 3 wins, 4 wins. Maybe we'll get all 5. Central Michigan, Arizona, Fresno State, and last but certainly not least, the poverty-ass program of NC State. Good job, man. That was a great round robin.
Round robin didn't hit. People will always find something to bitch about. But I will say, yeah, I mean, my goal is to hit 1 or 2 of those a year. Sometimes I'm going to strike out hard. I would rather hit 1 of the round robin than 2 sometimes.
Mhm.
Don't waste a win. I mean, it's going to be a loser. Give me all the losers. So yeah, the round robin didn't hit. Sorry. We'll get one.
Yeah, so I doubt there's going to be a call for me. Last week, 6 of 7 in the round robin. This week, 5 of 7 in the round robin. My 2 losers, Florida Atlantic at the very last second, Cal by 2. So the round robins on this side.
Cal can't kick a field goal.
God.
And then,
why am I expecting them to outright win? They can cover, but this outright win shit, I don't know why Cal was even in there. But no, it's going well right now. So
yeah, sometimes well done by you the last couple weeks. But that's like my goal. I just want to hit a couple, 1 or 2 a year. We'll get there. Don't worry. All right, moving on.
Let's talk about the referees in the USC Penn State game in overtime missing 2 blatant pass interference penalties. Absolutely disgraceful, costing me my money line bet.
Oh, boy. I just watched my Trojans choke away a 14-point halftime lead. I'm not going to talk about the officiating, even though it was atrocious. The 2 blatant PI calls in overtime, most notably. Lincoln Riley needs to go. He's a bad coach. He can't manage the clock. He's awful. He's like, 8-10 in his last 18 games? And I'm sure he's going to get on the microphone after the game and say they're 3 plays away from being 6-0. USC has lost 3 games this year, all of them virtually on the last play of the game. Guess what, buddy? That's on coaching. And you're going to get up there and spew that and how we're going to be better in the future. No. Dude needs to go. He's out. Get someone who can manage the clock. Lincoln Riley, you.
Could you imagine somebody bitching about a coach not managing the clock and they're facing James Franklin and Penn State? So Penn State, by the way, I'll just say 85% post-game win expectancy. I was actually a little bit shocked it was that high considering they were losing by 2 touchdowns.
There's another call coming up for Penn State, so keep it going.
Okay.
Hey, Stuck, this one's for you and all your tweets during the Penn State USC game. I hope you enjoyed tweeting about Penn State while we were down. I'm out here walking my dog right now. All I can say is we are Penn State. See you in the playoffs, Stuck. Enjoy fading them against a group of 5 teamer ACC team at home in a whiteout. Best of luck, my friend. Thanks for all the winners. Thanks for the 10-0 weekend last weekend. Keep it up, fellas.
Look, by the way, James Franklin lost his fastball. Can't cover anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I've said I can't win any Penn State games. I leaned under. You tried to convince me on USC. I would have lost. I think you pushed. I would have lost.
Mm-hmm.
So I would have had, if you tried to convince me on Penn State, I would have had 3.5, 4. My under lead would have lost. I can't even win fake hypothetical bets on Penn State games. So, yeah, We'll revisit them later. But congrats on your win. My dad's a diehard Penn State fan, so I was happy for him. Yeah, they were down 2 touchdowns. Credit to them for the resilience. You know who I love watching on Penn State? I bet you know the player I'm going to say.
It's not Singleton. Is it not Drew?
No.
It's not. Yeah, I don't think
Tyler
it's
Warren.
Yeah, Tyler Warren. Number 44. Yes.
That
Dominating.
catch he had in the end zone was unbelievable. They use him. I mean, he's like the ultimate Kotelnicki chess piece. He's fun to watch.
That looked like a 12th grader dominating a bunch of 6th graders that are trying to play secondary. That looked like a freaking guy, like man-child dominating kids on a playground when he caught that in the end zone.
Yeah. Yeah, but congrats Penn State and Penn State fans. I'll see you in the playoffs.
All right, guys. This isn't me griping about anything. Currently active duty Air Force. But my God, I love watching Army football more than anything. Give Bryson Daly the Heisman. Dude is a beast. I know they beat UAB. It's fine. But you know what? They're going to beat Notre Dame. Put them in the playoff. Throw Navy in there too. Those mids love the offense. I love Service Academy football. Let it happen. Give me one of them in the playoff. I want to see Army against Ole Miss, and I want it to be ugly, but make it happen.
Hey, I would lay Army money line against Ole Miss any day. By the way, we're on pace for the greatest Army-Navy football game in the history of the Army-Navy football.
Could have 2 in a row. Could have back-to-back games of Army-Navy, which has obviously never happened before. Do you know that meme where there's the dragons? You got like 2 scary dragons, and then the one with like its tongue sticking out.
That's Air Force.
That's Air Force this year. But Army and Navy are definitely wagons. And UAB, I almost bet them. They got hit late. I said if I got the 28, I'd have to consider it. I don't know if it ever got there. I was trying not to look at it. But then I'm following other scores that aren't on my TVs or laptop. And I'm like, oh, they're down 31-3 already.
So let me say this. I see something in the stat sheet I've never seen in my entire life. An average stuff rate, when a defense goes up against an offense that runs the ball, an average stuff rate is 30%. So if you have 10 rushing attempts, like 3 of them will get stuffed at the line of scrimmage. That's average for FBS. Army ran the ball 56 times against UAB. UAB stuffed 2 of 56, a 3.6% stuff rate, 10 times less than the national average. UAB is god awful against the option. We could only hope there was another triple on their schedule, but they did not learn anything from Navy. That is a 3% stuff rate on 56 attempts by Army. Wow. UAB is done in the trench. Their numbers are toast.
They are toast. Yep.
Colin, I just need to know, how do you put up with failure? How do you put up with losing all these San Diego State total bets? Because that's how I feel as a Maryland alum. We can't win anything. And as someone who loses every bet when it comes to San Diego State, I just want to know, how do I escape this pit of misery?
You know, I almost
By the way,
go do a deep dive on Maryland turnovers.
Just why don't I just bet against? I got to look at this. Maybe because I just lost a couple bets on them in these spots. Is Maryland the worst Friday night football team of all time? I feel like every Friday night they just get crushed. Doesn't matter who they play.
Didn't they have 7 against Iowa a couple years ago on a Friday night? Like it was,
you and I both had
Maryland.
Against Penn State, they lost like 52-0. Loxley, there might be like a short week thing. He was taking over play calling. That didn't work out too well. Jeez, that was bad, Maryland.
We've got to go look at Maryland weeknight games because I feel like this is not just a trend. This is like a fact.
Friday night lights out in College Park.
Mm-hmm.
Stuck. It's Ado from Nebraska, and Brett Bielema is a real stupid, soft. Yeah, sure. Let's go up 21 points. Let's cover the spread in the first half. Of course, let's give that up to our old boy at Purdue. Absolutely embarrassing. Makes me sick to my stomach. My girlfriend's an Illinois fan. I'm a Husker fan. Me, Illinois.
Ooh, fellas, I did something today that I never thought I would do. And that is I backed Iowa in a huge game. And they won. And I didn't get greedy. I said, you know what? I'm not going to take Illinois and Brett Bielema. But I got greedy, and that's what I get. Brett Bielema. Can he get any bigger? I mean, this guy seriously needs to get a checkup. He looks awful. Purdue's a corpse. How in the world did they score more than 20 points? Who the is Ryan Brown? What are we doing? Anyways, great call on Iowa boys, and it's on me.
Didn't join me on that Iowa-Washington over, did you? It was no sweat.
But I did have Iowa. Iowa put up a 40 burger, and it continues my theory, the Michigan stinks theory. Teams after playing Michigan, the market thinks that they're good, still good. Michigan stinks, people. I don't know how many times I got to say it. Although I might end up playing them this week against Illinois. I don't know. Illinois might stink worse, people. All right, moving on.
Hey, Colin. Hey, Stuck. I got a bone to pick with both of you, one more than the other, okay? I'm getting tired every week of this Diego Pavia slander. Oh, is Vanderbilt going to be good this week? Are they going to cover this week? Yes, all right? Diego Pavia puts his on the field every week, okay? And I don't know if you guys watch, Jerry Kill's still on the timeline. Yes, that Jerry Kill, all right? Every week, we're along for the ride. And I'm tired of this Pavia Ponzi scheme. No, it's the Pavia Prestige Club. I'm a proud card-carrying member, okay?
I've been raised as a UK football fan, and it's been fantastic. I really enjoy being a fan of Mark Stoops, and I really enjoyed, this weekend. It's like Mark Stoops, once again, got high and didn't do anything. You know what the best thing is? Diego Pavia. It doesn't matter if it's Pavia, Manziel. It doesn't matter if it's Josh Allen. Mark Stoops is going to it up. It's like betting on a idiot.
I've called a few times over the last couple of years bitching about bad beats, UNLV minus 19. But you know what? I got to give it to this team in Mount Pleasant, Michigan, coming back down 24-0 to Ohio. Come back, cover that number, cover that 2.5, fire up Chips.
This is a call from the Waste Management headquarters. Apparently, Stucky works for this podcast, so I feel like this is the best way to reach him. And the reason we're calling in is to let you know, Stucky, that you're fired. And hey, listen, you've done a great job over the years as a fellow trash man, but, ULM, they were an integral part of this company. And we've backed them for years as a big dog, and it always seems like they cash for us. But the minute they're a favorite, you fade them, and they put you in the dirt. So, Stucky, you're fired. Your severance package is in the mail, buddy. Bye.
Colin Wilson. Chad from Vegas here. First time call. You are the biggest ever. How are you ever going to bet against the Cougs? I know it's a half unit, so you weren't really sure. I get it. But never bet against the Cougs. Go Cougs.
Florida. Your boy here, sitting with the worst number. Bet it live, 3.5. Go for 2. You clearly cannot move the ball. Go for 2. And then they just go backwards. Missed the bomb of a field goal. Terrible. Terrible.
What do Billy Napier and Brian Kelly have in common? Two alcoholic-looking, let's go to overtime. Let's play as underdogs. Let's extend this game. Have another hit of the bottle, dumbasses.
Colin, Stucky, after the LSU just hit this money line parlay. I'm in the closet right now because my wife came downstairs and now I came in the room and she asked how much money I won. But guess what? She doesn't know about this account. Let's go.
This is Kevin from New Jersey. I'm a 32-year-old man with a toddler crying on my couch at 1 o'clock in the morning because LSU can finally figure it out. 100 years of Tiger Stadium. I'm not even talking about my Oregon LSU moneyline parlay. I'm not even talking about LSU plus 3.5. I'm just talking about the game of college football and how beautiful it is and how it can just bring a man to his knees. Love you guys, and I love this game.
This isn't even a bad beat call. This is just a
I love football. Call. Just got back to my hotel. Stormed the field in Death Valley. Sorry, eating some Whataburger. Got a little spicy jalapeno and bacon burger. Kind of messing with my throat. Tigers had no business winning that game. Ole Miss on the first play of the game on their first offensive possession missed the bomb. LSU played sloppy. Refs were a little too involved, but wow, what an epic night. This is why we love football. Also, Colin, you.
Stuck. Colin, the Oregon fan from last week, Colin. Ohio State's a good team, but they ain't ready for the Ducks. Great win, and this is the frauds that Ohio State really is. Toilet. That's where they belong. Their national championship dreams, down the toilet. Go Ducks. Natty is coming our way.
Rubber Stucky, you don't represent anyone. When you put on the Twitter, ooh, the world won, Ohio nothing, dude, you sit around and bet games all the time. You. Like, shut the up, man. Some of us actually give a about our teams. I know that's difficult for you to do, like, when you're at the bar with your white Russians and stuff. But, like, dude, keep the out of your mouth, dude. Who the are you, Rubber Stucky? The world won, Ohio nothing? Dude, you represent nothing except you in your picks, which I mostly tail, so I hope they win. But, like, off.
Martin's going through it. Ohio State's going to be in the college football playoff. A lot of my tweets, sometimes when I troll teams, if I'm, Colin knows, if I'm trolling Arkansas, it's because I know he might see it on the timeline. I have like Ohio State friends. That's a lot of times what it is. Ryan Day's an easy target. So your caller of the week, we'll send you some more gear. So I know you rep the pod and the brand, and I know you're going through it after a tough weekend, but you'll be fine. You'll be in the college football playoff. You'll probably have a chance of revenge. It'll be okay. I do agree Ole Miss probably should have won. By the way, Ole Miss injuries too, worth monitoring. Like Trey Harris was out at the end. Parrish was out. So they had defensive injuries. So a lot to dig into there. And what was the other game that I think was mentioned? Shout out to all the people, dealing with new kids, young toddlers, sweating games, hiding from their wives in closets. Yes, and the beautiful game of college football. It is amazing just from a fan perspective, as always.
Well, Martin, listen, I know this won't make you or any Ohio State fans feel any better, but if Ohio State and Oregon were to play again, I would line it as a pick. And because it was at Autzen, Ohio State has a higher power rating. So, I have them ahead of Oregon like by 1.5 in power rating. So Ohio State is not garbage or toilet. They are definitely playoff bound, and they are just as good as anybody else's name up at the top. And I mean, we'll see how they do.
I'm right back to where I was, like kind of preseason, where Oregon would be like a 1-point favorite at home. So like I'm kind of in the same ballpark as you. I still have Ohio State power rated ahead of them.
Yeah, the only advantage was Autzen. That's it.
Yeah.
All right, Stuggy, I just want to let you know, for the second year in a row, I did not mix in a water today. We're live here from the Cotton Bowl Stadium, and I just want to let you know, Texas back. Sark, he's that guy. Texas owns OU, and I just want to let you know, from the bottom of my heart, ASU is that team. Scatabo is that dude, and he owns Utah. If you ever fade ASU again, you'll be dead to me, Stucky.
Holy shit. Is this our official second death threat to Stucky? And since we started this up like 8 years ago?
What was the other one?
That was the guy that called you in and said he's going to put a hit out on you if you bet UConn ever again.
UConn, yeah. I forgot. I was wondering who the team was. Yeah, I don't think I've bet UConn since. I think I'm still shook from that. Still looking over my shoulder. I don't even look at UConn games. I'm too afraid.
They haven't hit the trash. I haven't seen him in the trash once.
Yeah, no. He look. I got other trash to worry about. I gotta be alive to bet the other trash. So, NC State, North Carolina. Just wake up and fade them. Bet Army, profit. That seems to be the best place. But let me see if there's any other games I wanted to mention here. North Carolina, they didn't cover. Man, that was brutal. Haynes broke a 70-yard run with 10 seconds to go to win by 7. Tough if you had North Carolina. Congrats to Missouri and Elia for going up and taking care of business and flexing against poor old UMass. And Clemson might be a wagon. By the way, you know what we got? We're going to talk about it later this week. Little teaser for the show. Sammy Pittman in a good spot as a home dog. We'll talk about that later. Do you have any other games you wanted to mention?
No, I just want is Nevada winning the Mountain West? I just thought I'd throw that out there. I mean, their defensive numbers are sick. I mean, that's what led us to the play, but they're pretty
Colorado State could be live.
Yeah.
Look at their schedule. And yeah, but it's going to depend on the health of their players, which I'll have to dig into. But by the way, the one thing I will mention, Boise State, they were like up 6 in the fourth quarter. They fumbled it. I don't know how they overturned that. And then they end up scoring. They get a 2-point conversion. Then they're throwing it on 4th down, up 14 with 2 minutes to go. They almost scored again in the final minute, but they keep calling these 4th down throws down the field late with big leads. I think that they're trying to build margin and build their playoff profile. So it's something to keep in mind for the future. Genty, another huge game. Travis Hunter, by the way, got hurt. I feel so bad. I talked about that last week. I said Travis Hunter could get hurt. He has huge injury risk. Didn't want to see that happen. And then Colorado goes down. That's going to really hurt his Heisman shot.
Yeah, shout out to Brett. Brett and I were texting. Brett's still without Wi-Fi down there after Hurricane Milton came through, and Brett was asking me, is Hunter on the field or is he in the back? Is Hunter on the field or is he in the back? I'm like, he's on the sideline. He ain't coming back in. Oh, there you go. Helmet's off, roaming around. Not sure what he's doing, but hurt his Heisman chances. Colorado had that game in hand almost the entire time, but Kansas State, I mean, I thought Avery Johnson was out for a while. What a wild game from an injury perspective. So, I don't know. Maybe Kansas State's back in the driver's seat here. I don't know. My question is, will Colorado respond? Colorado needs to respond now that they've lost a game like that at home.
Yep. All right. Good stuff. That'll do it for us. Thanks to all the voicemail callers. 959-BAD-BEAT in the future. Make sure you leave a 5-star review. I'll do giveaways later this week. Say whatever you want. Yell at us for whatever. And make sure you subscribe, tell a friend. Tell an enemy. You know the drill. Thanks to Colin for joining me. Most importantly, thanks to all of you. By the way, if you got any winners from us this week, go to our YouTube channel. Even if you don't watch us on YouTube, and hit that subscribe button. Help us grow the channel. Do appreciate that. We'll be back with a new BCS. Hopefully, Brett, we're thinking of you. I know you said you don't listen unless you're on, but we're thinking of you, and I hope that you're back for the new BCS early this week. Group of 5 guys will be back midweek. Colin will be back Thursday with another great slate. Week 8 college football headlined by Tennessee, Alabama, Georgia, Texas, obviously. And I'm sure more chaos throughout the college football world. But that'll do it for us. It was a great week for the pod, but as always, it's on to the next. Time for us to go grind and find some winners. And I'm about to go sweat some NFL for 15 hours. So wish me some luck there, and I'll catch you all later this week. Cheers.
Peace out.